The Orange Iron Horse, a Murdoch story, written by Slow Coach Studios. The air was moist and cold as Murdoch stopped at the platform. He had just come from Tidmouth with the express, as Gordon had been sent for repairs. He liked the coaches. They were quiet and pleasant to talk to, unlike the noisy trucks. He had uncoupled from the coaches and went for the Vickerstown Yard entrance, letting Rosie take the remaining coaches away. It looked like rain was imminent as he felt a drop fall on his nose.
"Oh, splendid! I love the calm rain,"
he smiled as he went for the yard entrance. "We can't stay long. We have to pull the express back," his driver said as they entered the yard.
"Oh, bother! That hill will be awful to climb,"
Murdoch muttered as they passed some trucks. The hill had its rails replaced a while ago. They hadn't been worn in yet. This made climbing the hill a struggle, and going down wasn't much easier. Murdoch had stopped underneath a coal hopper to top up, filling with water as well. Soon the rain started to fall, the calm patter of water hitting his cab roof. Murdoch's driver and fireman had left him to the rain when they went to check the schedule. Murdoch's eyes slowly fell. The calm rain had made him tired. He was about to drift off to a nap when a roar came from the elevated track.
"Good Gotthard!"
He woke quickly with a start. Looking up at the track, he saw the white steam of an engine. The roar sounded again. This time it sounded more like a whistle. The engine's steam soon disappeared underneath the station roof.
"Such a rude engine, blowing a whistle like that. The disrespect!"
Murdoch grumbled as his driver and fireman came back. "Murdoch, what happened?" his driver asked as they stopped in front of his footplate.
"Some engine up there decided to wake the whole island," he grumbled.
"Oh, we thought you were in trouble." His driver made his way back to the cab.
"I wish,"
Murdoch muttered as he blew a quick peep, rolling slowly out of the yard. The rain had gotten worse as Murdoch thundered on with the express. He had to keep up his speed, as when he got to the hill, the rain would for sure slow him down.
"Blasted rails!"
he groaned as his wheels slipped. Soon he made it to Gordon's Hill. The side he was coming from didn't have much of a grade as the other side, but it was still a rough climb. "Come on, old boy," his driver said as they got to the hill. Murdoch heaved on, snorting as he pulled the train. The train started to pull back on him as he slowly went up the grade.
"Come on!"
he groaned, pulling the train higher. As they made it over the top, he took a deep breath. "Well done!" his driver called. Murdoch was glad he had made it, though he knew something was wrong.
"What was that? I struggle with 9 coaches,"
he thought as he went down the other side. Then it dawned on him.
"Am I too old? Surely not, right?"
he asked himself. Deep down, though, he knew the answer. The rain was still falling as Murdoch pulled into Tidmouth. "Hello, Murdoch," Edward said. He was sitting on the platform across from him with a small goods train.
"Hello,"
Murdoch said flatly as he stopped just before the escape points. "Something the matter?" Edward asked, staring at the orange engine.
"No, just tired, that's it."
Murdoch brushed him off as he passed the coaches. "Murdoch, wait a moment, please." Edward stared at him. Murdoch just wanted to go to his shed and rest, but he didn't want to be rude. "I may not see you as often as the other engines," Edward said as Murdoch stopped. "But I know a problem when I see one," he said.
"It's nothing."
Murdoch looked away. Are you sure? Edward asked, staring at him intently.
Yes, I'm sure,
Murdoch said as he slowly rolled away. All right, then. Good night, Murdoch, Edward said, his face still in thought.
What does he know? He has his own branch line. He doesn't know the struggle that comes with heavy trains.
Murdoch was so lost in thought that he had not seen Henry crossing the track.
Murdoch, stop!
Henry yelped. Murdoch stopped in an instant, inches away from Henry's train.
Sorry,
Murdoch muttered as the rest of Henry's train crossed. He quickly crossed the points and left for the yard sheds. As Murdoch reversed into the shed, he saw a huge engine talking with Emily. He was long and black. He had 2 sets of wheels at either end of him, with his boiler and cab suspended between them. LNER was painted on his side with the name Mammoth on his water tank.
Hello,
Mammoth said in a deep but light tone. Murdoch expected his face to be on a smoke box, but instead it was on the front of his tank.
Hi.
Murdoch stared at him, examining him. This is Mammoth. He's a U1, and he's here on a rail tour, Emily said with excitement.
Then why are you in the shed?
Murdoch said.
Your controller said that while I'm waiting for the tour to end, I can help by pulling trains,
Mammoth said. Murdoch thought it over. Was this engine proof that he was out of date?
Anyway, best be off to sleep.
Mammoth yawned. Night, Mammoth. Night, Murdoch, Emily said from the other side of Mammoth. Murdoch was skeptical. A new, stronger engine was in his shed.
Maybe I will be replaced.
He was worried.
No, I'll prove I'm still strong. I'm still the most powerful engine in Britain,
he thought as he let his eyes close, falling asleep to the sound of the calm rain. The next day, Murdoch was sitting thinking to himself in a siding when his driver came up to him. Looks like we're free from harbor jobs today. His driver sat down on Murdoch's footplate.
What do you mean?
He lowered his voice as to not hurt his driver's ears. Well, it seems our train was put onto another, his driver said.
What train?
Murdoch was cut off as he saw Mammoth pulling a long train in front of him, crossing the points.
Morning, Murdoch,
he called over his whistle. The long train soon left him and his driver alone again. Murdoch was in shock. Mammoth had stolen his train.
The nerve!
Murdoch shouted. His driver covered his ears.
Oh, sorry, Martin.
Murdoch lowered his voice again. Well, I don't think he meant to. Martin scratched his head, rubbing his ear. Murdoch sat there in silence, face frowning. John should be out of the loo soon. I'll wait in your cab, he said as he got off Murdoch's footplate. Don't worry, we'll get you another train. Martin patted his buffer as he passed.
How dare he? My train! He can find his own trucks.
Murdoch scowled. Then he pulled himself back.
Maybe it was a coincidence.
He decided it was best just to let it go. Unfortunately, he found it very hard over the 2 days. Murdoch seemed to follow him everywhere he went, taking more and more trains at once. At one point, he took 3 of Murdoch's trains in one trip. The more that he took from Murdoch, the more resent he had for the beast. Murdoch finally found a train and was pulling it to Wellsworth.
Martin!
Murdoch shouted, looking back. Yes, his driver called.
Can we take a coal train from the mines? Surely Mammoth can't go down there with his size.
Murdoch tried to make his voice sound convincing. I don't know. The line isn't that small, Martin said.
Come on. Surely you're tired of having nothing to do,
Murdoch said. Martin thought about it. Fine, but we deliver this first, he decided. Murdoch was excited now. He would have a chance to prove himself now. Murdoch quickly came up to the points to the coal mines, stopping at a signal.
Come on, come on.
Murdoch stared at it, ready to shoot down the line. Suddenly he heard a roar. His face twisted to anger as he saw Mammoth pull in a long train of trucks past the points.
Hello there,
he said as he passed. Murdoch fumed, counting the trucks. As soon as the 68-car train left, he went on a rant.
That selfish engine! He thinks of no one else. He's a thief, coward, and a monster!
Murdoch yelled. Murdoch! His driver came around to the front of him. These trains can't mean that much to you, can they? He asked, looking up at the large engine.
It does. I need something to do. I need trains.
Murdoch lowered his voice, still angry. Something else is going on, isn't there? His driver questioned, his body still.
No, there's not.
Murdoch hoped that Martin hadn't seen through his lie. Fortunately, Martin hadn't. He just told Murdoch to calm down and take a deep breath. Once Murdoch was calm, they set off for the station, ready for the express. Murdoch breathed his way into the sheds. The express had taken a lot out of him. To Murdoch's displeasure, Mammoth was sat next to him for the night. Emily had taken the token service for the night, so it was just him and Mammoth.
Hey,
Mammoth said.
I'm sorry if I took some of your trains. The men thought it would be best for efficiency,
he said.
It's no problem.
Murdoch gritted his teeth.
Ha! Good to hear. Tomorrow's my last day here. I'll be pulling a long coal train this morning. It's due for Barrow and Furness, he said.
Then Murdoch got an idea.
I can take his train. It would prove I'm still in my prime for sure. Sounds fun. I have a train in the morning too. Don't take that one though,
Murdoch said.
Ho ho ho!
Mammoth's low laugh rang in the shed.
Good one, Murdoch,
he said as he shut his eyes. Murdoch shut his eyes, thinking about the accomplishment he would achieve by pulling the train. The early morning was cloudy and cold as Murdoch pulled into the coal mines. Are you sure we're supposed to take this? Martin asked as Murdoch buffered up to the trucks.
Yes, I'm sure. In fact,
Murdoch looked back. This wasn't nearly enough trucks.
We need all the trucks in the yard,
he said proudly. What? Martin said in disbelief.
You heard me. All the trucks are going to Barrow,
Murdoch said. Martin reluctantly went along with him. Soon there were about 100 filled coal wagons behind Murdoch. The train was so long that he had to stop outside the yard.
I got this,
Murdoch thought to himself. Ready when you are, old boy, Martin called. Murdoch sat there for a second, breathing. Finally, he pulled. The train slowly gained more weight as the trucks gave tension, steam hissing from Murdoch's cylinders. Murdoch's face was red as he strained hard, his wheels slipping here and there. It's too much, Martin called.
Nonsense,
Murdoch struggled.
I can do it,
he heaved. The train soon started to move faster, chains cracking. Luckily, there was a hill at the entrance to the yard. He was relieved when the train started to roll forward.
"See, I've got this,"
Murdoch said. Soon, they were going down the line at a steady pace. They had hit about 50 miles per hour now. He was pleased at the speed until the line started to slow up.
"No!"
Murdoch shouted as they started to slow.
"I will not fail!"
He decided it was all or nothing now. He gathered all his steam and pushed on, heaving the long train along. He finally reached the main line when it started to rain. Now that they were on the main line, Murdoch opened his cylinders. They were flying down the line now. The once calm rain turned thunderous. Murdoch muttered to himself as rain crashed against his face, not blinking once. "Murdoch, slow down!" Martin called.
"No! I will do this!"
Murdoch yelled as they thundered down the line, now reaching speeds of 90. Wellsworth soon came into view. Murdoch pressed on. He had started to shake at the speed, galloping like a horse, snorting and grunting as he pushed himself. His orange paint shone through the black smoke that billowed from his funnel. The train blew through Wellsworth towards the hill. Murdoch's whistle a faint plea over the thunder and rain. The sight of the hill made him push harder, the peak seeming to reach into the sky. The shaking had gotten worse as he entered the straight to the hill. The trucks didn't dare hold back, as to mess with the raging iron horse was a death wish. Murdoch strained his hardest as he entered the grade, the heavy truck slowly pulling him back.
"Ah!"
He screamed as he gave it his all. He nearly made it to the top. Soon they had come to a crawl on the wet rails, wheels spinning furiously. "Murdoch, stop!" Martin pleaded, but Murdoch wasn't listening. He just kept spinning his wheels, face shut tight. "Enough!" Martin shut off steam and dropped his fire, slowly applying the brake.
"No!"
Murdoch yelled.
"Martin, God damn you!"
Murdoch's wheels started to slow as he looked on in despair. As his wheels stopped, the train slowly rolled back down the hill, stopping at the bottom. Murdoch felt defeated. This was proof that he was out of date, out of his prime. He was sitting there with a wet, depressed face, muttering to himself. "Murdoch, are you okay?" Martin and John came around to the front of him. Murdoch just sat there, silent. "What's going on?" Martin asked, stepping onto his footplate.
I'm a failure,"
Murdoch sulked. "No, you're not." Martin stepped up the stairs to Murdoch's smoke box. "You're just older," he said as he leaned against it, arms across his smoke box, sort of like a hug. "You're one of the best engines I've worked on. There's no need to push yourself this hard." Murdoch looked down in shame. "There's no shame in getting old. You just have to know your limits with the new age." John patted his buffer.
"Thank you."
Murdoch let out a small smile. Over the rain came a roar. Mammoth came around the bend, his long black body stopping next to Murdoch.
"My goodness, you pulled that far," he commented. "Mammoth, I'm sorry. I just wanted to prove that I was still strong,"
Murdoch said as Martin and John went back to their cab.
"There's no need. I understand that I took a lot of work from you, and for that, I'm sorry. That was an impressive run, though,"
Mammoth smiled. The rain had slowed as the two sat there.
You saw?
Murdoch asked.
Of course. I was about to switch onto the mine track when I saw you fly around the bend. Your speed was impressive.
Murdoch filled with pride. He had to admit, it was a miracle he had even gotten the train moving.
Now, how about we get this train to Barrow?
Mammoth reversed down the line.
Yes, please,
Murdoch said with a big smile. Once Mammoth was ready, the cavalcade started up the hill. Murdoch was grateful for Mammoth's help this time. The top of the hill was beautiful. The golden sunrise covered this vast sky as the rain started to slow. The train soon crested the top of the hill, soaring down the other side. After the coal was delivered, the two had stopped at Vickerstown. Murdoch had warmed up to Mammoth now. It was nice to talk about goods trains with another engine for once. The two would laugh and talk until Mammoth had to leave. By the time he left, Murdoch had made a new friend. He had also come to terms with his new limits, learning that with age comes change, but never failure. He now appreciated the change of pace. But now and again, the iron horse within would show itself, reminding him that he was still a powerful beast.